Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are here sharing their expertise and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, where we help businesses grow through AI and visibility strategies. If you're new to joining us for the podcast, this is your first time, welcome. We're happy to have you here. And without further ado, I want to jump in and talk with my guest today, Kevin Dillard with Blue Smiles. So welcome, Kevin, to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here too. I know it's really cold near you, so I appreciate you taking time, and I know you're heading out soon, so thank you for fitting us in and being here today.
Yeah, sure.
Kevin, can you kick us off and tell us a little bit about yourself, about Clear Blue Smiles and your role within it?
Yeah, well, thank you. I've had a little bit of a unique career journey, I'd say. I'm a lawyer by trade. I like to say I'm a recovering attorney. But I kind of took a non-traditional path in doing so. My wife and I moved to St. Louis, where we live now, with our three boys in 2001. Got a job at the American Association of Orthodontists, which is headquartered here in St. Louis. Because modern orthodontics, by the way, was invented in St. Louis. It's a little known fact, and the association has grown over the last 125 years of its existence. I started out in government affairs. I went to law school at night at St. Louis University, graduated there early 2000s, and then eventually became the association's general counsel for about the last 10 years I was there until about 2018. So in that role, I was able to see a lot of how dentistry and orthodontics works together, the ethics involved, how they police their own, how they saw the market moving, and how we saw through internal dynamics and surveys how orthodontics was evolving. Keep in mind, 2001 was really where Invisalign, which is the biggest clear aligner company in the world, started taking hold. And that was probably the biggest evolution of the entire orthodontic market up until that time, probably in the previous 50 years. This concept that you could move teeth effectively and safely with plastic that you can take out of your mouth and that you can't see, or it's virtually invisible. So I lived there through that evolution of the market. And then, of course, in 2015, 2016, this company called SmileDirectClub, which you probably heard of, a lot of people heard of from their direct consumer marketing, came out. And that was really what I would call truly a disruptor in the industry. But the problem with it is that they destroyed more than what they actually built. They had certain things right in their business method. They knew that, clear aligner treatment at that time had evolved to the point, technology had evolved to the point where you could effectively move teeth on a great percentage of people. Probably 70, 80% of people would be a good candidate for clear aligners. And that you don't have to go back to an orthodontic office. Most people, when they think orthodontics, they think, I got to take my kid out of school once every four to 6 weeks, or I have to go in and see the orthodontist and they have to, crank the braces or whatever. SmileDirect got it right. One thing they got right was that a lot of it can be done remotely. With clear aligners, you don't have to necessarily go to a dentist or an orthodontist every 4 to 6 weeks. You can take a video, you can, communicate with your doctor, make sure that it's moving correctly, and only go in when necessary. Couple of things, though, that SmileDirectClub did not get right, and which is why I think they eventually went out of business a couple of years ago. And you talk about a fall in finance and business. They were, I think, valued at one time $4 or $5 billion on the NASDAQ, and they just imploded. And for predictable reasons. What they overlooked, and this is the bridge as to how we started, how my partners and I started Clear Blue Smiles, is that they did not emphasize at all. As a matter of fact, they de-emphasize the necessity for patients to get full and complete diagnostics on their teeth and bone structure before they started. That is a founding principle of Clear Blue Smiles. So in 2018, 2019, it became clear to me that I think the traditional orthodontic model, including the American Association of Orthodontists, was very opposed to that. And I was happy and honored to have quarterbacked sort of the legal response to that and arguing before state dental boards as to why that business model was not safe. But at the same time, I think there was too many brakes being hit on that entire innovative space. And so my business partner originally, Dr. Bill Crutchfield, who's an orthodontist from Virginia, northeastern Virginia, near the Washington, D.C. area. And I've known Dr. Crutchfield for 2 decades now. One of the most finest, upstanding individuals I've ever had the privilege of knowing and working with. great businessman, even better person. We got together because I knew we both had kind of the same idea. Like SmileDirect does have something, but they lack a lot. So let's marry the best of traditional orthodontics with the best of this new technology. And so we created our company to say that, yes, you can get clear aligner treatment delivered in your office, through your office, if you're a dentist or an ortho, for cheaper than the traditional method. And it's cheaper because we can systemize the remote monitoring aspect of it. We can systemize the lead generation aspect of it, and also reduce chair time, which in dental lingo is one of the most expensive things that you have, because it's time. And anytime you have a patient coming and sitting in your chair for 10 or 15 minutes, you're losing potentially $200 to $300 in production. So we took the best of ortho and said, every patient we're going to help our doctors treat in our network, they have to have complete diagnostics to know that it's safe to move teeth, which SmileDirectClub and Bite and some of these other companies like that did not, to the detriment of the patients. And also, we're going to hand the tools to the doctor and the patient to be able to do this more effectively and affordably without a bunch of recurring office visits. And that's where we are today. We're working with dentists primarily right now on one program to help them start their clear aligner program for their patients. And we're also beta testing our direct consumer product, which is in a couple of different markets, that links those patients up with dentists in our network to deliver that care.
Amazing. So what are the most recent changes that you're seeing right now in the dentistry and orthodontic space?
There's the technology side, and there's the personal side, and I would say there's the economic side. So let's take it, three different categories. From the technology side, the AI is easy to talk about these days because it's in everything. It's pervasive everywhere, and there is an AI aspect to it. But I would say, as it relates to dentistry and orthodontics, it's not so much AI driving the innovation as it is just the general technology of the 3D scans, the technology of uploading those scans, and then having an automated process to help dentists and orthodontists create a treatment plan for the patients, which getting the correct scan is item number one. You have to have those diagnostics. You have to know what a patient's teeth and bone structure looks like in order to be able to properly move those teeth around with a set of trays. That's getting faster and cheaper, and that's great. The technology to actually make the aligners, I think, is getting faster and cheaper. Some of that has to do with AI. Some of it has to do just with simple market competition. The economics of it, I think we all know that patient out-of-pocket spending has gotten tighter. Inflation has reduced expendable income for a lot of folks. Although by all indications, the economy is doing relatively well. But I think if you talk to a lot of people, they say, well, the economy might be doing well by certain markers, but it doesn't feel like it to me. Mm-hmm. And when I have a kid and I need braces put on them or orthodontics done, or if I as an adult need some revision done to my teeth because I'm on Zoom a lot and I'm on camera a lot, I go to the orthodontist and they quote me $6,000-$7,000 for a treatment of clear aligners, and I'm seeing these ads for companies saying they can do it for $2,000 to $3,000. So I think the economics of it are driving more people into the lower cost care, which is where we come in. We don't charge $2,000 or $3,000 because that's almost virtually impossible to do and keep it effective and safe. And then there's the personal aspect of it. So you have roughly 10,000 orthodontists in the United States. There are roughly 200,000 general dentists. Statistics on this vary, but only about 15 to 20,000 general dentists perform any amount of orthodontics on their patient, even though 100% of them by license in all 50 states are able to. And the reality is that, I've read statistics lately of around 60% of adults see their general dentist at least one time a year. So you have a high touch point with the population and going to the general dentist. So those general dentists are in a unique position of trust and care to see a vast majority of the United States populace and be able to diagnose them on what we call the three pillars of oral health. One is just the general tissue health, the bone health, the structure of the tooth. Do you have cavities? That's an easy one. Everybody understands. Do you need a root canal? That's something that they are capable of diagnosing. People also understand probably less often that dentists are diagnosing the gum health, the gingival health. Sometimes dentists will take what they call perio charting, where every time you go in, they measure your gums. Are your gums receding? And if they are, why? Is it plaque? Is it tooth wear? What is it? But what a lot of people don't understand, and I think this applies to a lot of general dentists, is that the third pillar of oral health gets overlooked, which is what we call occlusal. It's how your teeth fit together, how your jaw fits together. If a person's occlusal, if they have what we call occlusal disease, where there's a malfunction, there's a misfit, it's eventually going to cause teeth wear, increase cavities, gingival gum recessions. And a lot of adult patients specifically go into a general dentist and they say, I want my social six, the front six teeth to look really good. I want veneers, or I want caps, or I want something like that. And more often than not, and this is the missed opportunity that we're helping the general dentist take advantage of, more often than not, the general dentist won't look at the occlusal, how the teeth fit together, the occlusion, I should say. They'll prescribe the veneers. And then the patient will be surprised in 2 years when those veneers pop off, which is entirely preventable if a dentist treats that underlying occlusal disease first. And so one of the founding principles of our company is to help general dentists in our network understand the value of diagnosing everybody's occlusal disease, how their teeth fit together, and presenting them with options to say, even if you don't want veneers, if you have a misfit, misalignment in your teeth that gets to a certain point, you're going to have problems sooner or later. You're going to have TMJ issues, you're going to have teeth wear, you're going to have gum issues, and it's not going to look the best. And oftentimes those occlusal issues can be fixed 6 months, 12 months, 18 months at the far end, usually with clear aligners.
So this is more of not a business question, but more of like on the flip, not the doctor question, but the patient question. So you're recommending basically aligning before doing any of those other cosmetic procedures. Align first.
Some of the time, yes. The answer is actually yes and no. I mean, most of the time the alignment can be done at the same time other cosmetic things are being done. And it depends patient to patient, right? I mean, you could have a patient who has really misaligned teeth that before they do anything for spacing and all that kind of stuff, you'd want to align the teeth. But for the vast majority of people, I'd say, who need mild to moderate care, what I would say, that you could probably put the veneers on, you could do the cosmetic stuff while you are doing the clear aligners. And as long as you're moving in the right direction, you're going to correct it at the same time. So it doesn't have to be one before the other. It can be done at the same time.
You brought up AI, so let's dive a little deeper into that, Kevin. AI and digital technology are everywhere, as we know. So how is AI specifically influencing clear aligner therapy, treatment planning, and patient outcomes in orthodontics?
Primarily right now, what we're seeing is, what I'm seeing from my role is the integration of AI into treatment planning. So just very briefly, what happens in a patient who has an orthodontic case, they'll go into the dentist or orthodontist. They will typically take a 3D scan, which if you've seen these things, they look like about the size of an electric toothbrush, maybe a little bit bigger. And if you had orthodontics as a kid, like I did, back then the technology was this goopy stuff that you'd put in your mouth and you'd bite down on, and then they'd make a prescription for your braces based upon how your teeth look in that mold. Well, what these 3D imaging does is obviates the need for the mold. So there's no physical mold that you're choking and gagging on in the office like I did. It was a terrible experience. I still remember it. Now, 5 minutes, a hygienist, a dental assistant can come in with one of these electric toothbrush looking things and take what amounts to a extremely high definition photo of all of your teeth and your mouth structure. So they can tell exactly where the heat spots are. Where I've seen the AI, it's actually amazing. I've been in some of these labs where they show the result of these 3D images. They upload to a computer, and almost immediately the AI, the computer, spit out a result of where the hot spots are, where the teeth are hitting or grinding, where the bite isn't exactly right. And then literally, it doesn't take very long, minutes, for, if it's dedicated to this purpose of putting together a treatment plan for that patient to show how the teeth could move with clear aligners or traditional braces, as the case may be, but more likely in this case with clear aligners. And it can tell you almost exactly how long it's going to take. That's something that even 5 years ago would take. My doctor partners would probably be better to speak of this, but 5 years ago, I'd say that process would take, a good 20 to 25 minutes. Now it takes like no more than 5.
Wow. So they're able to get more patients in that chair, as you were talking about earlier.
More patients in the chair, it reduces the time for patients, but probably just as importantly, maybe as the chair time is the office time for the doctor sitting down and interfacing with the technician to set the case up, because a lot of that setup of the case, when I say setup, I mean just the actual mechanics of saying which tooth needs to move which way and in what order. And this software, you can take an orthodontist who knows what they're doing, sit down, take a look at this 3D image and move the teeth around. It takes them about a couple of minutes to be able to take an average case and say, this is how the teeth need to move. And then the computer system, using AI often, then immediately designs a tray set. And it could be, we typically trade out trays every 2 weeks. So it'll design, if it's a 12-month case, it's kicking out 24 different trays, up or lower, with the exact, with precision, the exact force needed to move in the order 1 through 24. It's an amazing thing to watch.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's reducing the time to prescribe all of that by 80%.
Incredible. So as clear aligner therapy is becoming more mainstream, where do you see the biggest opportunities for general dentists to integrate and prescribe these treatments without compromising quality?
Well, I think it's an increase in quality, because you as a patient, the normal patient goes into their dentist and they expect the dentist to be able to diagnose their oral health and give them treatment advice. And often traditionally what has happened is, like I said before, with that 3 pillars, they diagnose the cavities, they diagnose the gum disease, but they're not diagnosing the bite. And too often those general dentists will just refer those patients out to an orthodontist. And I came from the world of orthodontics. I'm all for traditional orthodontics, but what I will say is, from a standard of care issue, general dentists should be diagnosing the occlusal disease more often. Whether or not they treat it's a different issue. Our company's here to make it easy for them to treat it and make it profitable for them to do so. But at the very least, they need to diagnose that occlusal disease and recommend treatment options for the patient. So that's the big missed opportunity, I think, for a lot of general dentists. And there are legitimate reasons for that. They think it costs a lot of money to get into that. They think it takes a lot of training. And it's true, orthodontists go to specialized school for an extra 2 to 3 years after general dental school to become orthodontists and to call themselves an orthodontist. But that does not change the underlying fact that a vast majority of mild to moderate cases could be efficiently, effectively treated in a general dental office, often very profitably for the doctor and for less money out of pocket for the patient.
So, Kevin, there's a major conversation in the field recently, which has been the legal battle involving SmileDirectClub, the AAO, ADA, and Align. What's the real significance of that lawsuit? And does this ruling signal the end of the DTC orthodontics market as we knew it?
I'll take the last part first. I think that what we call traditionally the DTC, which was that Smile Direct bite model of generally, this wasn't always the case, but I think I can safely say in almost every case, they were putting these patients not into a dental office for the diagnostics, but sending them in the case of bite, sending them a kit, like I mentioned, that mold where the patient would mix up the mold themselves and then send that back in without ever seeing a dentist. That model has actually been declared illegal now. And I think 9 states where they say, and I say declared illegal, in those 9 states, they have required before a dentist or an orthodontist prescribes tooth movement devices that the patient they're prescribing it to has to see a dentist in person first, presumably for diagnostics. That effectively ends that business model in those states. And because those states include Illinois, Texas, Florida, Nevada, some of the bigger states, Georgia, I think as well. I've lost track now, but I think that business model would be illegal in probably 30 to 40% of the United States population. So, and I'm probably underselling that. It's probably over 50%. But regardless, Byte's out of business, SmileDirectClub's out of business. It's hard to see a lot of capital going into that when the tide is flowing the other way. When you're locked out by law of that percentage of the American public, it's hard to see how a company can make money. To the lawsuit, I know it's publicly available, of course, and I'm taking a look at that with great interest because it involves my old client, the AO. And just kind of judging what I saw happen in the market after I left the AO, I think that lawsuit probably has some teeth. Of course, anytime a company of that size goes out of business, they're going to be looking, the shareholders are going to be looking for a recompense. They're going to be looking for somebody to blame. And they're going to be looking for some way to recoup some of their investment. It'll be interesting to see how that lawsuit plays out over the coming months, years, however long it's going to take. But I think it's more than a warning shot. It's a shot directly at the trade associations. Align is part of that, the maker of Invisalign. And I'm not familiar with their involvement in it at all, but I did read the complaint. And I think there's some smoke certainly in that complaint, especially, the allegations against those three parties started about, I would say, 6 months before we started our company, and about a year after I left the AO. And I saw some in the early stages of our company, saw some weird activity over there with the associations that I would probably in my experience say were anti-competitive in nature. And that's, to be expected. Associations by their nature are kind of anti-competitive. They only allow people in their club to be in, and that's lawful. And they try to protect their market, and they try to protect their members. And that's a very tricky thing for associations to do, because you're dealing with a lot of personalities. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And from a legal standpoint, the antitrust gets really super tricky, and it's not hard to cross a line. So I think the outcome of it is, depending upon the outcome of the actual case, which legitimately could bankrupt the ADA and the AO. I don't know, but we're talking, a huge amount of money that could potentially be levied against them. But even if it doesn't, I think it has a bit of a chilling effect on the association's ability to maneuver in that space and quote unquote protect the market.
So let me ask you this question first. Some practices fear that expanding clear aligner offerings could undercut traditional orthodontics. What's your perspective on collaboration versus competition between general dentists and specialist orthodontics moving forward?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something I kind of papered over when I was talking about the personal aspect earlier in the market. Traditionally, almost, I think something like 80% of the traditional orthodontist business comes from referrals from the general dentists. And that's why, orthodontists treat their their referring partners very, very well. That's changing a lot with the economic circumstances. And honestly, we work with traditional orthodontists. I mean, in our network, we have traditional orthodontists because we wanted to devise a system that even the most traditional of orthodontists could take a look at and say, you guys are doing everything right. A lot of orthodontists recently are saying, I think it is better from a market efficiency standpoint for the general dentist to be taking a bigger percentage of the easier cases, the mild to moderate cases. Orthodontists are specifically trained. In my view, it would be a more efficient allocation of time for everybody, for orthodontists to be spending more of their time on the very complex cases. And there are very complex cases out there that require more time and attention than the easy cases. I think over the next 5 years, probably, there's going to be a lot more collaboration between general dentists and orthodontists, and we're going to get out of this, us versus them mentality that I think has ruled the market for a while, where orthodontists get upset at general dentists when they do any orthodontics. And I think it's going to be more collaboration for market efficiency. I think it's a more efficient way to deliver healthcare for those mild to moderate cases to move towards the general dentists and involve orthodontists when they need to. As a matter of fact, I mean, that's what our company is sort of built on. We have orthodontists. We help the general dentists set these cases up. They get customized advice, consultations from our orthodontists on staff, so that those general dentists have the confidence that when they're diagnosing a patient in their chair, it's not just them, because again, they're not trained as orthodontists, but they're able to do it by license. But having an orthodontist to lean on and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And an orthodontist being able to help guide them and consult with them on that case is invaluable to them.
I like to switch gears a little bit, Kevin, and talk about Clear Blue Smiles specifically in regards to the business and your growth. So, you have a product, it solves a problem. And in order to solve that problem, you need to get in front of your target market, which is you work with the orthodontics, and the dentist. How are you marketing and visibility wise? How are you getting in front of them? How are they learning about your product and how you can help them provide this quality of service to their patients?
Yeah, right now we work exclusively with a manufacturer called SureSmile, which is one of the larger clear aligner manufacturers. We work through their sales network. Their network goes to their dentists and presents our plan. Mostly we have a lot of our own, what we call CISs, who are like integration specialists, clinical integration specialists that work with our doctors in our network. And they go out, they reach out to dentists in their areas. We do marketing towards dentists, mostly social media. We do a few trade shows here and there, but those have, we're not real big fans of the trade show because it's a little bit, can get lost in the noise. But we're now to the place in our business where we have so many in our network, so many general dentists in our network, where we get a lot of word of mouth. We have so many good reviews from general dentists working with our orthodontists and our staff that they love our product, they love our service, they love the customized way we help them. So now I think, in our customer management database, it's showing probably about half of the new leads we get in, half of the new accounts we sign up from dentists is word of mouth, which is a fantastic place to be for a company, because that doesn't cost anything out of pocket. That's just the benefit of the hard work we put into it.
So when you get the leads, they come in, do you have a sales team behind you that takes care, that handles those leads?
Yeah, we immediately reach out to the dentists, onboard them, which doesn't take very long. Totally free for a general dentist to join our network, by the way. And the thing that we have the biggest hill to get over with a lot of the general dentists is that, number one, there is no cost to join our network. And number two, no startup cost, period. There's no account set up, nothing. We hold their hand through the entire system of getting them in the system. And then oftentimes what they'll find is that the actual cost of a clear aligner case for them, working through us with the benefit of having an orthodontist help them and our clinical integration specialist help them, will be less than the cost than if they just went out and bought the clear aligners alone with no help. So it's almost like a little bit, it's getting across the hump of it's too good to be true. And then once they get in and they see the system and they work with our folks and work with our team, then they love it and they keep coming back. I mean, many of our customers went from one case per month, maybe one case every other month they were prescribing, to 4, 5, 6, 10 cases a month, just because they have the confidence of our company backing them up and helping them diagnose and treat.
That's fantastic. So I have a question. You shared with us what's worked for you. And on the flip side of that, are there some marketing methods or strategies that you've tried that haven't been as successful as you'd hoped it would be for you?
Yeah, I would say trade shows generally have been a bit of a disappointment. That's because, again, that gets lost in the noise, and there's, it's just I like to think that, and I like to say, and I think this is an accurate statement. We are an intellectual company. We're a philosophical company. There's like literally nothing that we haven't built, or that we have built, that there's not a great deal of thought that has gone from A to Z to everything. And I would not also describe us as a disruptor. I would describe us as an evolver of the entire industry. So it's easy to understand what a disruptor does. They just tear things down, often not rebuilding it any better. They just tear it down, and that's sexy and that gets a lot of private equity money. But when you have a company like ours that evolves things and has a philosophical background of and thought process of wanting to make everything better for the doctor and the patient, it sometimes takes explanation. And a lot of times that you don't have people's attention span in a big trade show where there's open bars over here and a juggler over here and all that kind of thing. So that's one thing that hasn't worked. We have had some good success with social media and social media engagement. We get a lot of leads coming in through that. Direct mail, we have tried direct mail, that has some success, but really it's social media and fortunately word of mouth now. I mean, that's actually the most complimentary thing we can have. That's our validation as a company.
Yeah, that's amazing. So when you mentioned social media, is it just all engagement on your social media campaigns or content, or is it something that you're actually have like a team reaching out?
It's a little bit of both. We do a lot of, and we're actually ramping it up, like LinkedIn, which is probably the best social media platform for us, because that's where the professionals go. I mean, Facebook is fine, and for Instagram as well, we have accounts across places, but that's more for consumers. The dentists we reach more through LinkedIn, because that's where I think the credibility rests in a professional setting, and we have a lot of back and forth, just even messages and sharing information over that platform.
That's fantastic. So if I could hand you a magic wand, Kevin, and you can wave it over one challenge or issue you're having right now, and you could go poof and it disappears, what is that issue or challenge and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll answer it from a business first and then a personal second. Business first, I would say I wish that all general dentists could understand how easy it is and how not scary it is to start a clear aligner program. I think so many of them are, and I say this with respect because they do it out of what they think is the best, and to them it is. They think it's hard, they think it's difficult, they think it's very complex to do this, and they want to do what's right for the patient. And so they will refer those patients out. I wish they would understand that with our help, it would be very easy for them to start a clear aligner program in their office that wouldn't treat it. We're not going to say you can treat everybody, but 80% of the people in their practice who have some occlusal disease, like I mentioned, some misfitting of teeth, 80% they could help. And for those 80%, I can't guarantee anything, but I would bet pretty good money that we could help that general dentist do it for less money out of pocket for the patient than if they go to an orthodontist or go to a traditional treatment method, because all the verticalization, the systemization we've done. From a personal perspective, I am a big fan of death to ego in all respects. Ego and pride go hand in hand. And, from business partners to how we construct our team here. And I think we've done a fantastic job constructing our own team at CBS to kill the ego, put the ego out of sight, and live by the mantra that it is amazing what a team can accomplish when nobody cares who gets the credit.
Mm.
Dealing with vendor, it's always a struggle. I wish I could wave a magic wand and say, let's just forget who gets credit for what. We're all moving towards the same goal of making things better and helping people, helping doctors, helping patients. Let's put the ego aside and the pride aside, and let's work towards that goal.
So what's next for Clear Blue Smiles, Kevin? Over the next 12 months, what are the big goals that you have?
We're rolling out what we call it's not a direct consumer like we talked about before, but it's more of a consumer oriented, where we are working with the dentists in our network and linking them up with patients. We have a lead generation tool on our website patients can go to. They can take a few snapshots of their teeth. It's all HIPAA protected, of course. It's private health information, but our team can take a look at it and say, quick disqualification or qualification. If you look like you're a patient, or it look like you're qualified to be a patient, and there's no serious issue going on that you got to have restorative work done, that we're estimating you're going to be a 9 to 12 month clear aligner case, and the cost is going to be $4,880 or $5,000, whatever the case may be. And here's the closest dentist in our network. And by the time that patient gets to their dentist, they've already filled out the paperwork. They know it's going to cost them on a monthly basis. They know what a down payment, if there's going to be a down payment, is, and they're fully prepared when they walk into that dentist or orthodontist office that I know about what I'm going to be, and I know exactly what I'm going to be paying. And I just need the diagnostics, and I need a human sign off to make sure that we didn't miss anything on the photos, get those complete diagnostics, and then they're on their way with treatment. More profitable for the doctor, more affordable and efficient for the patient.
So you're reaching out, you're targeting patients as well, then, not just.
We will be in the next 12 months. Yes.
Fantastic. And how is that like, can you share with us what that marketing campaign looks like? How you're reaching out to them?
Well, we're working through that right now. There's going to be a good amount of social media. There's actually, I'll tell you a funny story. My now 18-year-old, about a year or so ago, made a comment on a TikTok post that was actually a disgruntled bite patient. And he said on the TikTok post, he said, this is, this not a good thing to do if you're not getting full diagnostics. My dad runs Clear Blue Smiles. Go check it out. They do it right, and he'll treat you right. All of a sudden, we didn't know he did that. Hundreds of leads started popping up overnight. We just started getting just all of these leads, and we're like, what in the world happened? We couldn't figure it out until about 3 weeks later. He said, oh yeah, I made that comment about that time, and we tracked it back to that. So that's a funny story, but for a company like ours, there's a lot of what I would call guerrilla marketing. We use social media a lot. TV is too expensive. Radio's too expensive. We will go to, and we're doing this in our beta testing with doctors in our program that will do this, where we go and we help them market to their own patient base. that is the most effective. Just simply sending their patient base an email and saying, if you've ever considered clear aligners or you think you might be a patient, here's a free tool that I use in my office. It can treat you effectively, affordably, quickly, and without the need of coming in every 4 to 6 weeks. Because we have our own app, by the way, on the Android and App Store. I haven't mentioned that yet, but patients who are in our system can get that app. It's very easy, simple to use. They take a video of their mouth. They can communicate with their dentist and, move forward like that and make sure that, there's nothing going on where they have to go back to the office. If there is, they go back to the office and they get it fixed.
So my last question for you before we tell everybody how they can connect with you and learn more about Clear Blue Smiles is for dental practices thinking about growth, what practical advice do you have for them for adopting new technologies from scanning to AI assisted planning without overwhelming their teams or diluting their patient care?
Yeah, go to our website. We have an entire library of continuing education modules. They can learn. They can log on there. They can become a member of our network for free, and we can walk them through exactly how to do that. As a matter of fact, one of our partners is a general dentist from Cleveland, Ohio, Dr. Doug Voyers, who's probably prescribed more clear aligner cases as a general dentist than most others in the world. We also have Brian Gaudreau, Dr. Brian Gaudreau, an orthodontist from Massachusetts, who's one of the top experts of SureSmile. We're all here to help those general dentists show exactly from a clinical standpoint how they can better treat their patients and raise the standard of care in their own practice, and how it's an excellent business decision for them to do so. And all of the training modules are there. We're happy to talk to them about it. That's what we do.
I lied. I have one more question. Sorry about that. So if there's one myth you wish all patients and clinicians would stop believing about clear aligners, orthodontics, or the future of dental care, what would it be and why?
One myth that they all believe. Well, I think we've kind of gotten over the hump of thinking that the clear aligners are not as effective as traditional metal brackets. In most cases, I think that technology has kind of evolved to the point where about 80% of any orthodontic case can be effectively treated with clear aligners. There is going to be a certain percentage that cannot be. Just because of where technology is, there's a certain force in the tooth that clear aligners are unable to do if in certain situations. I think a myth is that I think the myth that I would like everybody to drop or understand is not true is that it either has to be very expensive and good, or it has to be cheap and bad. That is where we come in. I think most people think if I go to the orthodontist where we live in St. Louis, a 12-month clear aligner case, average cost about $66,500. What we saw SmileDirectClub and Bite kind of burn out. They couldn't do it at $2,000. It's not workable. I wish it was. It's just not. Maybe it will be sometime in the future. But I think it's taking a hybrid approach and using what we are doing in our model to meet in the middle and saying, it's not going to be 6,500. It's going to be 4,800, maybe less than that. And it's still maintaining that high quality of care that you're getting with the $6,500 case. It's just we're making it more affordable for the dentist and orthodontist to provide that treatment. We're making it more convenient for them both, the patient and the doctor. That's the myth, that there's no middle ground.
And the patient has the support of not only their practitioner, their dentist or their orthodontics, but also you behind them supporting the
Right. And we like to take care of our patients too. Any patient that we help take care of, we send them a patient care box. We like to surprise them. It has all sorts of stuff like whitening, cleaners, eco-friendly toothpaste, floss, some just fun gifts that we like to give them just to thank them for being a patient.
Amazing. So Kevin, share with us how the audience can connect with you and learn more about Clear Blue Smiles.
Easiest way is just to go to our main website, clearbluesmiles.com. Clearbluesmiles.com, and from there both doctors and patients can find a jumping off point to get them to where they need to go.
So if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Kevin and I say thank you. We're grateful you're here. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, thank you as well. Please share this episode with anyone that you believe could benefit from learning more about Clear Blue Smiles, whether it is a friend and potential patient, or you know someone who is is a dental physician, whether they're a dentist or orthodontist. Please share this episode with them. The goal is more businesses growing. That's why we put this podcast together. And our amazing guests like Kevin are here today sharing not only their businesses, but also giving you the insights on what's worked for them as far as growing their own company, as well as on the flip side, what hasn't been as successful for them. So let's return let's be grateful and share this out to more people so we can help Kevin and Clear Blue Smiles create beautiful smiles for more people. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, we would love a review, especially if it's 5 stars. That helps the platform that you're listening to push this out to more people so more people can learn about Kevin and Clear Blue Smiles. Also, I have a gift for y'all. So if you're listening and you would like to learn maybe some outside the box ways of growing your visibility and getting in front of more of your ideal clients, then go ahead and download our Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint. It's free, it's yours. Kevin, before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to share that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't touch on today?
No, boy, we could talk for 5 hours about this, and I'd be happy to, but I know our time is limited. But no, this is a fantastic conversation. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, so I appreciate your time and let us sharing more about Clear Blue Smiles with us so we can learn. Thank you all for listening. If you missed how to get in contact with Kevin, please go check out the show notes. All of his contact information is in there, and you can go to clearbluesmiles.com. That's where you can go check them out. So thank you for listening to Kevin and I today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.